I'm pleased to call up these two bipartisan measures today, both of which I strongly support. The Baha'i community is the largest single non-Muslim minority community in Iran, yet since the 1979 revolution, they have faced unrelenting and unforgiving persecution by the Islamic regime. Members of the Baha'i are constantly being detained, harassed, beaten, thrown in jail simply because they do not adhere to the brand of Shia Islam that the regime espouses. As the latest report of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom states, as of February of this year, there were at least 135 imprisoned members of the Baha'i community in Iran, double the number of those detained in 2011. In April, I adopted Rosita Vaseji, a prisoner of conscience in Iran whose case had been highlighted by Amnesty International and the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. Rosita is a member of the Baha'i community who is serving a 10-year sentence because of her faith. Rosita's suffering at the hands of this regime, which targets people for what they believe, is one of hundreds of other cases that prove that under Rouhani, Iranians seeking to exercise their basic freedoms and assert their human dignity are no better off. I believe this resolution is important in highlighting the dismal state of human rights in Iran, even as our administration engages its officials on nuclear negotiations. I urge my colleagues to support this measure. I would also urge them to be a voice for other prisoners of conscience in Iran, many of whom have been languishing in Iranian prisons for far too long and have suffered the brutality of this regime. The administration can no longer ignore the plight of those suffering in Iran, and it must act now. It must also take immediate action to bring U.S. citizen Robert Levinson home. On March 9, 2007, Robert Levinson disappeared on the Iranian island Kish in the Persian Gulf. On November 26, 2013, Robert marked his 2,455th day in captivity, making him one of the longest-held Americans in our history. Mr. Levinson and his family, we're pleased to see his son here with us today. Welcome, sir. And his family call South Florida their home, and they're constituents of my good friend and our subcommittee's ranking member, Ted Deutsch. Ted has been working tirelessly to bring Mr. Levinson home. Thank you, Dan Levinson, the son, the oldest son, for being with us today. And thank you so much for the support that you give to all of us, and we to you. Our thoughts and prayers are with you and your family. Ted has been a relentless advocate for the release of Robert for many years, and working hard to get answers on what has happened and to press the administration to do more to help facilitate his release, return him home to his family, Robert's wife, Christine, and their 7 children. The Levinson family has been living this hellish nightmare over Robert's fate for over 7 years now. We demand his immediate, unconditional return. There should be no kowtowing, no equivocation. We've heard the stories of abuse and torment that Pastor Saeed Abedini faces, and we've seen the sham trial of Amir Hekmati, a U.S. Marine. We have tools at our disposal that can force their release, yet the administration is too worried about upsetting the Iranian regime as it continues to pursue this bad and weak nuclear agreement. This nuclear agreement does not exist in a vacuum. We must ratchet up the pressure and bring Robert home to his family. We must bring Pastor Saeed home to his family, and we must bring Amir Hekmati home to his family. I'm now very pleased to yield to the ranking member, Mr. Deutsch, for his opening remarks.